The Brooklyn Nets heading into the 2022-2023 season have a lot of question marks up and down the roster. They're not even sure completely what is going to be the status of the three top superstars, as Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving continue to swirl around in trade rumors as they have asked to both depart from the Nets. And their other superstar, Ben Simmons, is coming off a severe back injury and had back surgery, so you don't know what his status is going to be going into the season. But there's one young player that played on the Nets last year in his rookie season and also played in the past couple of summer leagues that has been able to impress the Brooklyn Nets and could actually be some type of a big factor heading into the 2022-2023 season and provide that six-man scoring punch that the Brooklyn Nets have been looking for from a drafted player in a while. I'm talking about number 24, the second-year player out of LSU, Cam Thomas. What's going on, everybody? This is NYG Jeffy T3285. And I'm here with a video breaking down the second-year man from LSU, the shooting guard for the Brooklyn Nets, number 24, Cam Thomas, and what his projections could be like for his second year in the league for the 2022-2023 season. Cam Thomas stands at 6'3", 210 pounds, coming out of LSU, where he was mainly known because of his scoring prowess, and he was able to transition those abilities from college into his first year with the Brooklyn Nets in at least a short term for his career, as he spent a lot of the season also in the G Leagues or also as a bench player for the second half of the season. But just in the summer, in terms of what he did in the summer leagues for his first 2 years, the one summer league that just happened this year, as well as what he did last year, he was actually very impressive, and he was one of the top leading scorers in the summer leagues for both years, not only for the Brooklyn Nets, but the entire summer league total. And that's case in point for his summer league totals that he had last year for the 2021-2022 summer league. And he had stats of 37.5 points. So this guy is clearly a guy that could put the ball into the bucket anywhere on the court. He had 2.4 rebounds, which is about 2 rebounds per game. He had 3 assists with about a block per game, about 2 steals per game, and he was named NBA Co-Summer League MVP for his performance that he put on the 2021-2022 Summer League. So this guy is obviously a guy that has a lot of talent on the offensive end of the floor especially, and he can be able to get his teammates involved, and he obviously, his strongest point is putting the ball in the basket, as he has been a guy that's been able to score at will at times, and even he showed it in this past year for the league. When he came into the 2021-2022 season, and in some spurts, he was able to put up 20, sometimes 30-point games for the Brooklyn Nets when the likes of Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden had to miss games due to injury or COVID vaccination issues, as well as when Joe Harris had to deal with his ankle injury and missed a lot of the season, if not the rest of the season. So Cam Thomas has been a guy that at the beginning of the season they had to rely on his scoring, and to go with that, his 2021/22 regular season stats for his rookie season, he played in 67 games, he started at least 2 games with about 18 minutes per game, and he put up at least 9 points per game in limited action. He had about 33.25 field goals made with about 8 field goals attempted. He had a 43% field goal percentage with about 28% of a 3-point field goal percentage. He was an 82% foul shooter, as well as he had about 2 blocks per game. He had about an assist per game. He had about a little less than a block per game, and he had about a turnover per game. So he wasn't exactly a turnover machine. And like I mentioned earlier in the video, this is a guy that at the beginning of the season, when all those guys I mentioned earlier were not playing due to injuries or due to the COVID issues, Cam Thomas was able to step in and have some clutch performances for the Brooklyn Nets, including a game-winning shot at the end of the game against the Nuggets to help win the game for the Brooklyn Nets. This guy has the ability to put the ball into the basket, and he's shown it before. The biggest problem with Cam Thomas, though, is the defensive end of the floor, as he tends to get beat very easily on drives to the basket. He doesn't anticipate the offensive player very easily, and he gets beat easily on the dribble drive, and he even has trouble with his rebounding and such. So this is a guy that right now is strictly a one-way player. He's a guy that can get it done on the offensive end of the floor, but he's a liability on the defensive end of the floor, and that's probably why he did not play a lot during the second half of the season, except for when it was crunch time. I'm sorry, not crunch, when it was garbage time. And that's the one thing that Cam Thomas has to do in the second season if he wants to get significant minutes for the Brooklyn Nets, is he got to be able to go out there and show that he can be more than a defensive liability for the Brooklyn Nets, because we all know this guy can score the basket. He has to go out there and improve on his defensive end of the basketball court, or he's just going to be a guy that's going to be getting beat on easy drives to the basket, getting beat on passes, not knowing where to be on defensive sets, and it's going to be a liability for the Brooklyn Nets, and he's not going to be able to get the minutes that we expect. So hopefully Cam Thomas, because he has a lot of upside, and he could be a guy that the Brooklyn Nets can rely on when it comes to his overall game, if he could just continue to improve on his defensive side of the basketball game. But he is a second-year player. He's only 21 years old, so you figure this kid still has a lot of room to grow. And you hope after his performance in the summer league this past year, where he was able to accumulate at least another big-time performance, 27 points per game, with at least 2 rebounds per game and 4 assists. So his assist numbers and rebounding numbers actually went up for his compared to last year's summer league games. The points per game were a little bit less, but still scoring at a very high rate. He had about a little bit less than a block per game. He had about a steal per game, and he played in 4 games with about averaging 30 minutes per game. So he's obviously a guy they relied on a lot in the summer leagues. But he needs to come out this year and improve on his defense. He can't go out there and get beaten easily on the defensive end of the floor, because teams will see Cam Thomas out there, and of course he'll be a problem, at least when it comes to second units, when it comes to scoring. But also on the defensive side of the ball, these teams are going to be attacking him at all will until he could prove that he could improve on his slides, improve on his defensive matchups, be able to go in there and not get beat constantly on every single play, because he needs to be able to do this. So that's what we're all hoping as Brooklyn Nets fans, is that Cam Thomas can go out there, because his upside is strong. His offensive prowess is very good for this team, especially with not knowing the statuses of Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, as well as Ben Simmons going into this season. Cam Thomas can be a guy that the Brooklyn Nets can rely on for as a second unit scorer and maybe even a possible starter, for instance. But this guy has to be able to improve on the defensive end of the basketball court. He even has to improve on his rebounding a little bit. His assist per game is not that terrible. He does try to get his teammates involved. But Cam Thomas has to improve his all-around game, or he will not see the court at all. And he's just going to be a guy that the Brooklyn Nets will put into certain situations if they need to get a bucket, and they know Cam Thomas will be able to put the ball in the net. But he's going to be a guy they're going to be switching in and out, even at the end of games, because his defense is just not up to par. And I really hope this kid can go into this season with a much better understanding of the defensive game of basketball. Because it'd be a shame if this kid can't play as much, because his defense is still something to desire. But this is just my video that I wanted to put together, previewing about Cam Thomas, what he could bring to this game, his strengths, his weaknesses, what he can improve on, and a possible outlook for him going into the 2022-2023 NBA season for the Brooklyn Nets. So if you like the video, please hit the like button below. Turn on the bell for notifications on the next video or short surrounding the Brooklyn Nets, New York Giants, New York Mets, WWE Wrestling, as well as some food for thought. Leave a comment below on what your expectations are for Cam Thomas going into his second season, and what you think he's going to be able to bring to the table, and if you think he's going to be able to improve on his numbers that he had in his rookie season for the Brooklyn Nets. And make sure, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel NYG JeffyT 3285, where anytime there's any breaking news, any type of chatter, or any type of updates surrounding the Brooklyn Nets, I'll make sure to drop it for you guys on the channel at any time and any time around. So I hope everybody enjoys your Tuesday. I hope everybody had a great weekend. And I hope everybody can't wait for the Brooklyn Nets season coming in 2022-2023. Because while there is a lot of turmoil and while there is a lot of uncertainty for the Brooklyn Nets right now, a lot can change on the drop of a dime. And who even knows? Maybe the Brooklyn Nets can end up finally finding a way to add up to the expectations that everybody in the league has given this team. And I hope really that Cam Thomas can be one of those reasons why the Brooklyn Nets have themselves a very good season this year. Have a wonderful Tuesday. Take it easy. And let's go Brooklyn Nets. NetsWorld, everybody.